So here's what's going on. The World Cup kicked off and the U.S. rolled out the red carpet. Well, sort of.
Depending on which airport you landed at.
Iraq's star striker Ayman Hussein detained 7 hours at O'Hare.
Wow.
Team photographer sent home entirely. Welcome to America.
And that's not an isolated incident. We've got a pattern here that runs well beyond one team.
You know what nobody wants to say? This is the World Cup we hosted specifically to show the world who we are.
Right, and Somalia's top referee, CAF Referee of the Year, turned away at Miami after 11 hours of questioning, with a valid visa.
Gone. Finished. Back to Mogadishu. And he came home to a hero's welcome, which tells you exactly how the rest of the world is reading this story.
The security rationale is not nothing, but the execution, that's where the argument falls apart.
Hold on, there's more. Iran's national team is literally commuting from Tijuana on game days because their staff couldn't get U.S. visas.
Daily cross-border commute to play a World Cup match.
I know. And DHS Secretary Mullin confirmed ICE is out at every stadium every day. Wouldn't rule out immigration arrests, while a SoFi Stadium crew voted to strike. This show is not short on material.
There's a real policy conversation buried under all of this, and we're gonna have it.
We are, and we start right now with the moment that put this whole thing on the map.
Before we dive in, a quick reminder, we love hearing from you. If you have questions or topics you'd like us to cover, head to the link in the description and submit your question. We read every single one.
So here's what's going on. The World Cup kicks off, 48 nations, biggest tournament in history, and the stories we were talking about months ago, they're not hypothetical anymore. They're happening in real time at actual airports to actual players.
And it's worth being precise about what we predicted and what actually materialized. We said border enforcement during the World Cup would create friction. What we got was Iraq's star striker Ayman Hussein detained at O'Hare for 7 hours, phone searched.
7 hours.
Right.
The guy who scored the goal that sent Iraq to its first World Cup in 40 decades, questioned like a suspect?
CBP let him in, but the team photographer Talal Salah held for over 10 hours and denied entry entirely. CBP cited vetting concerns, no specifics.
No specifics. Love that. Love when the government explains itself by not explaining itself.
Look, I get why border officers need discretion, but the optics here are not subtle. You've got Iraq's national soccer hero in an interrogation room the week his country plays its first World Cup match in 40 years.
And this is what I kept saying. We were told everyone will be welcome. The American Immigration Council ran a piece today quoting FIFA President Infantino from last year. Everyone will be welcome. Great, great celebration. Great, great.
Newsweek confirmed incidents involving players from Iraq, Iran, and Senegal. These aren't isolated. There's a pattern forming.
48 nations. You know what nobody wants to say? The U.S. chose this exact moment, the biggest sporting event on the planet, to demonstrate who it lets through the door.
Wow.
And it's not going unnoticed.
The Boston Globe reported DHS Secretary Mullin said immigration arrests at matches aren't off the table, so the question isn't whether this gets messier.
The question is, who's the story that makes it undeniable? And there's one case, Reagan, that I think answers that. A referee denied entry with a valid visa. The details on that one are something else.
Now, one man. That's all this next story needs.
Omar Abdul Qadir Artan.
Somalia's first referee ever selected for a World Cup. Named 2025 Referee of the Year by the Confederation of African Football. Valid visa, valid FIFA credentials, flew in from Istanbul, landed at Miami International, and 11 hours later put on a plane back to Istanbul.
CBP's explanation was vetting concerns. That's the full statement.
Vetting concerns. 3 syllables. That's it.
Now, look, a Trump administration official told NBC News Artan was refused due to association with suspected members of terror organizations. That's a serious allegation. I'm not dismissing it.
And you can't verify it. Neither can Artan. He told the New York Times he was questioned for 11 hours about al-Shabaab, a group he says he knows nothing about.
Here's my honest problem with that framing, Rush. If that's a genuine counterterrorism concern, why wasn't it caught at the visa stage? A Somali member of parliament asked the exact same question.
That's the thing that doesn't add up. State Department issued the visa, CBP turned him around at the door. Two arms of the same government, completely different answers.
And FIFA's response is effectively not our problem. They confirmed he will be unable to train and officiate and noted they have no involvement in host country immigration processes.
Super helpful, Gianni.
Remarkably so.
Somalia flew him home to Mogadishu, and thousands showed up at the stadium, not for a match, just to cheer the man America sent back. That's the image. That's what the world saw.
And it's not an abstraction anymore. It's a face, a name, a career. Somalia's first ever World Cup official gone before he called a single foul.
Which brings us to Chicago, because Artan is a referee. What happens when it's the guy who scored the goal that sent Iraq to its first World Cup in 40 years?
Same machine, O'Hare this time. Ayman Hussein, the man who scored the goal that sent Iraq to its first World Cup in 40 years, lands in Chicago and gets pulled aside. 7 hours of questioning, phones searched. The rest of the team walks through.
And the backstory matters here. His father was killed by an al-Qaeda attack. His brother was abducted by ISIS, whereabouts still unknown. The guy is a survivor of the exact violence America spent 2 decades fighting.
So, naturally, we detained him for 7 hours.
Right.
But hold on, Hussein got in. The one who didn't, team photographer Talal Salah. Newsweek reported he was held for more than 10 hours, phone and devices searched, then denied entry entirely, sent home via Madrid.
And this is where I slow down, Rush. CBP didn't just cite vetting concerns. ABC 7 Chicago reported the denial was based on, quote, classified information in accordance with U.S. law. That's a different standard.
Meaning we can't actually evaluate it.
Which is the problem. It might be legitimate, but when you cite classified information and give zero further explanation, you're asking the public to just trust the call, after everything we've already seen this week.
The Iraqi Football Federation did not trust the call. They publicly compared the treatment to the scrutiny Qatar faced in 2022, Iraq's first World Cup in 40 years, and the story out of Chicago is a 7-hour interrogation and a missing photographer.
If you wanted to make Iraq's return to the World Cup memorable, congratulations. Just not the way anyone planned.
Not exactly. And look, the two cases together aren't random noise. Same script, valid credentials, vague justification, maximum symbolic cost.
Now, flip that to the next level. Iraq is one team. What happens when it's an entire nation redesigning its tournament logistics around U.S. restrictions?
Iran. 3 group stage matches on American soil, and they cannot sleep here.
Now, Iran. And this is where it goes from frustrating to genuinely absurd.
The team is sleeping in Tijuana.
The team is sleeping in Tijuana. Iran originally planned to base in Tucson, Arizona. That fell apart, so they packed up and moved to Mexico. And per Newsweek, their visas require them to enter and exit the U.S. on the same day for each match.
Every game. Cross the border in, play 90 minutes, cross back.
They're commuting to the World Cup.
Like a day labor arrangement for a national soccer team.
You know what nobody wants to say? The U.S. is simultaneously conducting diplomacy with Iran and also treating their national team like they don't get to stay for breakfast.
That tension is real, and the American Immigration Council flagged it today. Iran's players got their visas only 10 days before their first match. 10 days against New Zealand on June 15th.
while more than a dozen support staff, including the Federation president, were denied entry entirely.
And then the fan tickets. According to ESPN and Al Jazeera, FIFA pulled Iran's entire ticket allocation days before the opener. The Federation called it contrary to the principles of fairness. The tickets had already been sold.
Fans who made plans, bought arrangements, gone, and FIFA just accommodated it.
Look, I understand the IRGC concern. Andrew Giuliani from the White House FIFA task force said some denied officials were flagged as potentially connected to the Revolutionary Guard. That's a legitimate security argument.
Fine, but the team is ranked 20th in the world. They're playing 3 matches on U.S. soil in L.A. and Seattle, and we can't let them sleep here overnight?
That's the image this tournament is projecting internationally, and it's worth asking who thought this through.
Someone did think it through. That's almost worse. DHS Secretary Mullin has some answers on that, but we'll get to him in a minute.
So Mullin steps up to the mic and says, and I'm not paraphrasing, ICE and HSI will be out there every day. Counterfeit tickets, human trafficking, drug smuggling. That's the stated rationale.
And that part, legitimate. Federal presence at a 100,000-person event isn't new. They did it at the Super Bowl.
Right, nobody blinked at the Super Bowl.
But then CBS presses him. Is this immigration enforcement or not? And he says, ICE always says immigration enforcement, we're always going to do that, in the same breath as we're not rounding up mass individuals.
So yes and no, both, neither, simultaneously.
To the communications failure here is almost impressive. You can have a credible security argument for ICE at these venues, but when your own secretary can't give a straight answer in back-to-back sentences, you've created maximum fear with minimal clarity.
And the fear has consequences. The American Immigration Council flagged that over 120 immigrant rights groups issued a travel warning. Fans, journalists, workers could face serious rights violations.
And SoFi Stadium workers, Unite Here Local 11, about 2,000 employees voted to authorize a strike over ICE deployment fears. They reached a last-minute agreement, but part of that deal lets them walk off the job if ICE shows up and they feel threatened.
The people pouring your beer might walk out mid-match because of a DHS press release. That's the situation.
Now, push back on me. Is some of this fear overblown?
Some of it? Sure. ICE has been at major events for years. We all know what's really happening here. Advocacy groups have every incentive to maximize alarm, but Mullin handed them the ammunition. You can't say we're not rounding people up and then refuse to rule out arrests in the same interview.
Two things are true at once. The security rationale is real. The messaging has been a disaster. And when you're hosting the biggest sporting event on the planet, you don't get the benefit of the doubt on ambiguity.
And we haven't even gotten to the fans who spent thousands, showed up at the airport, and got sent home. That's the next layer of this whole thing.
And it's not just players and officials getting caught in this. The American Immigration Council published a piece today. Fans are eating it too.
Scottish fans had their ESTAs, that's the visa waiver authorization, flip from approved to travel not authorized with days to go. No explanation. Some had already dropped thousands on flights and hotels.
Travel not authorized after you booked a once-in-a-lifetime trip. Flights, hotels, match tickets, gone.
Wow.
Scotland's first minister had to personally contact U.S. officials to try to fix it.
And Moroccan fans, same story, sharper numbers. The Sports Association of Moroccan national team fans saw 40 of 42 applicants rejected. Tickets already bought, hotels already paid, no reasons given.
40 out of 42. These are people who traveled to Qatar, to Russia, to the Paris Olympics, spotless record, and they get a form letter that says no while holding match tickets.
And journalists from Iran and Africa were denied press credentials. The International Sports Press Association wrote an open letter to FIFA about it.
Okay, so what did FIFA say? What did Gianni Infantino, the man who promised the world everyone will be welcome, what did he say when reporters pressed him on all of this?
Oh, this is good.
I'm reading, according to ESPN, he said, quote, maybe sometimes it's good as well to chill, relax.
Chill and relax.
A man lost his career's defining moment. 40 Moroccan fans are sitting home with useless tickets, Scottish families are eating thousands in losses, and the head of FIFA says, chill?
Look, he has a point buried in there. FIFA genuinely can't override U.S. immigration law. But that also exposes exactly how much leverage FIFA has over the host government on this, which is essentially zero.
Zero. They sold 7 million tickets and delivered a shrug. That's the whole arrangement.
And that's the setup for the question nobody at DHS has actually answered yet, which is whether any of this is worth what it costs the country's image.
That's where we land next, the verdict.
So here's where we land. The tournament is live, games are being played, and the question hanging over every stadium is whether the enforcement story gets bigger or quieter from here.
And that's the honest test. The Boston Globe reported DHS Secretary Mullin said arrests at matches aren't off the table, but also that ICE won't be rounding up anyone. Los Angeles County officials actually went further and told Al Jazeera civil immigration enforcement specifically would not occur at any LA games.
So there's a split already. Different cities, different answers. That's not a policy. That's improvisation.
Right, and that's my closing point. Good enforcement policy has a clear standard. Does it make the country safer? You can defend screening players at the border. You can defend vetting credentials. What you cannot defend is detaining a referee with a valid visa for 11 hours and sending him home and then offering no explanation that holds up to scrutiny.
Zero strategic upside. A bad look with no return on investment.
None.
Here's my verdict. Consistent enforcement builds credibility. I believe that. But credibility requires consistency that makes sense. Denying entry to the guy who scored Iraq's qualifying goal, whose family survived Al-Qaeda, that's not a credibility statement. That's a machine that isn't making distinctions.
And the next few weeks answer the real question. If ICE presence at stadiums produces quiet, trafficking busts, counterfeit rings, actual criminals, the security rationale holds. If it produces viral footage of fans being pulled out of stands, the story writes itself.
And America owns that story for the next 4 years before the next tournament.
The world is watching, not metaphorically, literally, in 180 countries.
So get it right. The American Immigration Council put it plainly today. These policies will be part of this tournament's legacy. The only open question is what kind. All right, bottom line on today's show, the enforcement machine is running, and it doesn't slow down for a referee with a valid visa or a striker whose family survived Al-Qaeda.
The Arçın story says it all. 11 hours at Miami, sent back to Istanbul. CBS News confirmed he had the right documents, and now UEFA has handed him the Super Cup final.
Europe gets Africa's best referee, we get the press coverage. Outstanding trade.
The question Reagan flagged, why wasn't any terror concern caught at the visa stage? That's not just optics, that's a process question nobody's answered.
And it's sitting there. ICE is at those stadiums every day now. The next few weeks will tell us whether the security rationale holds or whether the story writes itself.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here. Subscribe, leave a 5-star review, tell a friend. New episodes every weekday. We'll see you tomorrow.